What up, everybody? Welcome to a special presentation of Grounding and Bonding Preview. My name is Paul Abernathy. If you don't know who I am, where you been? Thanks for joining me tonight here. Again, kind of an impromptu thing. You'll be noticing we do a whole lot more of these coming up in the future. We could go live at any time. So if you're watching on various platforms, I will give folks an update who kind of come and join us on Thursday nights for Electrician Live with my co-host, Jay Grunberg. But also for those that join me during the exam prep on Wednesday nights and things like that. Couple announcements. Again, I'll just give it out there since we're streaming now on multiple platforms. And if you didn't know this, we are actually now streaming on, I believe, 5 different platforms. So you can watch us over on our Master the NEC on Twitch. Over on Twitter. You can watch us on LinkedIn. You can watch us on YouTube. You can watch us on Facebook. So now everybody knows that I've been kind of working out some bugs in what we do, but one of the new things is everybody knows that I've gone away from videos, and that's over on our subscription only platform. So if you're like over on our subscription platform on our website, then you can actually get access to all the videos that we create, even the new residential series that me and Jay are working on. That's available. But what I wanted to give kind of an announcement was that we are integrating the ability to have multiple streams. So we're going to be using a service called Restream, and we are going to be testing it. But right now we are again, if you want to jump around, you can check us out over on our all the various pages that we're on. And we've never done that before, so kind of excited about that, to be able to offer that and jump around to the different platforms. Let's see here. I'm just testing, by the way, just so you know. So bear with me as I get off this screen that I was locked on here. All right, sorry about that. I was testing some things and I wanted to see how it would look and everything like that. Anyway, so welcome to the stream tonight. Congratulations, on your son being 3 years old tomorrow. That is awesome. So again, for those that are following in the stream, we are looking at the chats on Facebook and YouTube. We don't have anybody chatting over on our LinkedIn or our Twitter, and that is not integrated yet. But that slowly will be integrated so that everything is right here in one location. So we want to make it as easy as possible. Okay. So we're testing out LinkedIn, as you'll all know that we struggle with the LinkedIn. But it looks like that is all working now, and we're going to be good to go with that. All right. So tonight was an impromptu. I've been asked to do a review of the Grounding and Bonding course so that people can see a little bit of what's in it. So you kind of have an understanding of what it is in case you really are interested in the Grounding and Bonding in our course. Of all the programs that we offer, the Grounding and Bonding is probably, and while I'm doing this, folks, if you're on the YouTube or the Facebook and you want to post a question, feel free to post a question. I'll do my best to answer it for you. And I'm monitoring LinkedIn. So if you have any questions over there, as well, feel free to post something away, and I'll do my best to answer it for you. If you have any questions about the Grounding and Bonding course, please, by all means, feel free to ask about it. Okay, so what we've got here, as you see on the screen, so this is a 2020 Grounding and Bonding course. Obviously, we offer it in the 2017 edition as well. We just finished up the public comment task groups for the 2023, so folks that aren't aware, 2023 is going to be just around the corner. We'll have the meetings in about 3 weeks. We're going to have the meetings, and once they're done, then we'll pass it on to the NITMAM stage, and then boom, after that, we're ready to launch that thing. So probably have a 2023 coming out right at 2023. So 2022, we'll just kind of be working on it a little bit, meetings, NITMAMs, working the bugs out of it, and it'll be ready. So obviously 2020 NEC, and the 2017 are what we focus on. So somebody's asked me that common question. They say to me, why don't you do anything on the 2014? And answer to that is because we don't. I don't do anything for the 2014. As most people know, we've been around a long time, but most of the courses that I've designed and worked with and worked closely with Cengage, and the books that we've done are all very much focused on the 2017 and 2020 code and everything moving forward from there. So again, don't really have anything on earlier. Now, when it comes to grounding and bonding, it really doesn't matter because the grounding and bonding principles are the same. There are some changes, there's some terminologies, some things get moved around, but at the end of the day, grounding and bonding has been pretty solid. Code Making Panel 5 does a wonderful job when they work on this. So, but let me give you kind of an idea. And again, if you have any questions, feel free to ask them. I'll be more than happy to try to answer those for you. So if we look at the course, like any of our courses, it's broken down into units, right? So you have 8 units and they get very specific. Now, the one thing that makes our grounding and bonding course a little unique from others is that it is not sporadic. It literally follows kind of a course of action flow. Okay, so you have the introduction to grounding and bonding. You'll have an introduction video, and that introduction video is me, and I produce these for Cengage. So I produce these for the actual creator of the LMS backbone, and of course I've made my edits in here as well. Where necessary in order to enhance the program. But what you're going to see is you got a bunch of different units, and of course you have this introduction, and when you go into the introduction, you watch the introduction video, and then you've got your reading material. Now I'll click on this, kind of give you a flavor of what's going on with the material. Obviously there is no way that you truly can understand the concept, especially something like grounding and bonding, if you do not understand core fundamentals of terminologies and definitions like voltage and ampere and all this kind of stuff. So you need to understand all of those different terminologies to be successful, especially when you're dealing with grounding and bonding, right? So as you can see, we'll go over volt, ampere, ohm, and of course in our program, for those that are new, there's some features that are built into our program. One of them is the README feature, which allows it to read it to you. So if I were to take a left-click mouse and highlight all of this, you'll have a pop-up come up. And if I click on Read Text, it will read it to me. Okay?
The following definitions relate to electrical theory. It is important that
installers and it will read it to you, and so you can listen to it. If you want, if that's your desire, you want to listen to it. Okay. You can change the speed, you can change the volume, you can change the cadence of it. If your text is too small, then you can increase the size of the text. So I could go to a little larger text. Now, why are these things important? In any of our courses or any of our programs, one of the most important aspects of it is that some people want to do this on a tablet. Some people even do it on their cell phone. Of course, you got pinch to zoom, but any device that you have, laptop, desktop, computer, mobile phone, tablet, Galaxy tablet, our programs will work on any of that because they're browser based. So you use a browser. It's nothing proprietary in a sense that you have to download some software. It's all done through the program. Okay. So once you get your account and we set you up in the LMS system and you get your keys and you activate your account, you're going to log in and your course, you're going to activate your course. Of course, many people that are in our grounding and bonding are also in what we call our bundle pack. It means they have all of our 2020 products or all of our 2017 products. So the bundle pack gives you access to everything. Rather than for 1 year, we extend that to 2 full years because you know what, it really takes that amount of time to absorb any of this information. So we give that to you. Okay. So that's some of the features you have. You can bookmark any page. You can print any page you want in the program. So whatever you want to print. Now, navigation in our grounding and bonding course, you utilize these arrows on the left and the right. Those are your navigations. Okay. So you click there, you go to the next thing. So we even go through grounding and bonding. We're going to go through the core fundamentals of Ohm's law. We're going to give you some examples of Ohm's law. We're going to give you some examples of how to solve these different formulas, because as we get into grounding and bonding, these things are going to be critically important. So understanding what the formulas are, or even the base formulas for Ohm's law, are critically important. And you can solve anything if you know two of the equations. Okay? So E, electromotive force, I is intensity, we refer to that as amperage, and R is resistance, opposition to current flow, we refer to that as ohms. Okay? So the ohmic symbol, ohm designation. Okay? So if you know any two formulas, the third can be found by using a formula. So we kind of go through that in the course. And for those that aren't familiar with something that I said the other night in our Electrician Live episode, is I'm actually doing a 12-hour mini webinar series in November and December. And that is where we're going to do 4 different nights, two times each month. We're going to do 3 hours together. And we're going to go through grounding and bonding to the point where you are really going to feel comfortable with it. And guess what? Typically that would cost you money. But look, here's a little tip. If you go subscribe to our monthly service, which is $9.99 a month or $119 a year, think about that price. You get access to the members only area. You get access to all the videos that I produce, all the podcasts that we produce. You also get access to our pools and spas series, which is like an 8-part series. You get access to, what else do you got? The residential program that me and Jay are working on. All of that's access. But one of the biggest things is I'm giving you access to this 12-hour webinar series as part of your membership. So, be honest with you, that should be a no-brainer. It's included in there, and you don't have to pay for it. I mean, it's in your monthly. So you can cancel it any time. So, I mean, you could get it for November, December, and cancel it in January if you wanted. But I think you're going to see all of the video content that we got coming out. You're going to see a big value in that. But we're going to go over grounding and bonding in that. And so for those that are in the course that have the program, it's just going to enhance them. For those that are on the fence and they want to really learn more about grounding and bonding, or they struggle with how to do bonding, its services and things like that, or maybe if they're doing something on the supply side, like a PV system or whatever, and you're connecting it to the supply side of a service disconnect, we're going to give you guidance in this program. So that's what people want. All right, so this is kind of example watts. It goes over everything, and you just work your way through the course. You got the watts wheel here again. Any one of these formulas, if I know 2 variables, I can solve the equation. So we go through all of that in extensive detail. As you can see, then we get into impedance, talk about impedance, the letter Z, and how we use it in impedance in an AC system. We go over the fact that we are providing like equipment grounding conductors. What we're doing is providing a low impedance effective ground fault current path for fault current to get back to the source. And doing so allows an overcurrent protective device to operate. So it's inversely proportional. The higher the amount of fault current at the location of the fault, the quicker that the overcurrent device will trip, right? So those are the kind of things that we're trying to do with it, right? So all those type of things are something that we're going to cover in this program extensively. Of course, we're also going to cover all of the key definitions and terminologies when it comes to grounding and bonding. So you really need to know this type of stuff. So where do I see most people go wrong? Most people go wrong in supply side bonding, service, something more intense when it comes to the bonding and grounding that's required for services. Most people are familiar with once you go downstream, you separate the grounded and the groundings, at least you should be. And that's 250.2024A5, where it says you don't do that downstream. But a lot of people don't understand what you actually do at the service. So what happens if you have 2 panels? What happens if my grounding electroconductor comes to one panel? Does it have to go to the other panel? Or can I go to a common location on the supply side? And all those things. And when it comes to bonding and how to do bonding jumpers and how to size supply side bonding jumpers and what happens when you have concentric or eccentric knockouts, all those things that you wanted to know, but nobody could give you the information, or you could get little pieces of it here and there. This course is going to answer all those questions. Okay. And so that's the beauty of our grounding and bonding course. It really gets deep into it. Now, I had the pleasure of writing this program and creating this material with a good friend of mine, Phil Simmons. Wonderful man, and somebody that I've looked up to for years, and so proud to call him a friend. Just an institution of wisdom. And we work closely together in creating this book. And I took this program and enhanced it with a lot of my own stuff in order to take it to the next level and to test you on the knowledge. Because you know what? It's okay to go through a course like this, but if nobody tests you, if nobody really puts the knowledge to your test, then how do you really know what you've achieved, right? And that's what we do in this. Now, also remember that any student that's in our program, now my students can attest to this, any student that's in my program will know that I answer questions for anybody. Okay, if you've got a question, you email me or something like that. Again, sometimes if you're not a fast track student, then it takes a little longer for me to respond because I get literally a lot of requests for code questions and things like that, right? Like you'd be surprised the sheer numbers that I get on a daily basis. But at the end of the day, what we're trying to do is answer as many as I can. And that's why I created the Ask Paul, which is at paulabernathy.com, so that I could be able to get those questions and be able to answer them for you and things like that. So, but again, this course is designed to really hammer home grounding and bonding and what happens in the concept with grounding and bonding. So excited about the program and what you learn in it. Again, we talk about the basics. We talk about, again, what happens with current flow. And we talk about measuring across points, things like that. So all of this stuff is covered in our program. And so it really is a lot of graphics, a lot of good content, a lot of stuff to read. But I'm a believer that people learn things by repetition. I believe that they learn things by reading the content and then having something to validate that, whether it's a discussion point, whether it's an illustration or a graphic that hammers home something, those type of things. To me, it's one of those things that people have to continually learn. And this course is designed for that. Great graphics and illustrations. And I should remind you, you can print any page you want. If you want to print the whole book, go for it. Now, some of the features that are along the side here that I haven't talked about, and some you can't see because I'm blocking them. You have the full book available at any time, so you can jump around if you want to jump into another part of the reading material. You have glossary of terms. If I bookmark something, so check this out. I'm in the introduction. If I were to click a bookmark right here, and I come back later, I could go over here to what we call the study hub. And I click on the study hub, and I can go to my bookmarks. And my bookmarks will tell me what I've got as far as bookmarks. Now, let's see here. There we go. So right here, I've got my bookmarks. Click on it, and there's the introduction. There's where I did this one right here. And if I were to click on that, you'll see that I actually did one before, and I did this one. So this one, we're at circuit path. So I'll just go on and click this one, and you'll see it'll take me right to where I left off. And then you can close it. So your bookmarks will always be there, okay? So what if I highlight something? So what if I see something in the program and I'm like, okay, Paul, you're my instructor. I need a little more information on something. I can't understand the topic. Well, that's what I'm here for. So this is what you get with our program. You're getting access to me, and you're getting access. Now, you might say, well, maybe I don't need your help. Well, think about it. When you buy DVDs or you buy books, you have to read the book. And if there's something you don't comprehend in it, who are you going to call? Who are you going to ask? Are you going to hunt down the author? And if they sell millions of books, are they going to take the time to help you? Well, when you're in our program, I'm going to take the time to help you. So if I were to say something like this, and I left click and highlight over it, and I let go and I highlight it because it's something I didn't understand, and I want to ask me about it, then when you highlight it. So when it comes time to do your highlights, you could go right over here to the study hub, right? And I could click on the study hub, and I could go down here to where it says notes and highlights. And you go down to notes and highlights, you'll notice that I have one. Here's the circuit path. This is what I highlighted. And there's the exact content that I highlighted. So once you compile them, you could left click on it, drag it over it, and then right click, and you could copy it and you could paste it into an email. And you can send it in to us, and we will answer the question for you or try to explain it. So the one thing that is uniquely different, and I made it a point when I created Electrical Code Academy, that I wanted to make sure that I was available to answer questions for students, because I saw in the program is obviously you've got these, and of course you can check your grades by down here on the bottom right. You probably can't see it, just under the corner of me, like right down in the corner here, is a little green dial. That's where you would click it to go check your progress. Okay, see how you're doing, see what your grading is. Now, what's good about the grounding and bonding is that it's nothing that has to be graded by me. So this one was a little unique because these are cut and dry questions. So you will get your answers immediately in this program. Now, you can go through this whole grounding and bonding as quickly as you want, or you can take the time to really, truly absorb the content. And that's what we're hoping you'll do, is you'll go through it in a way that you take the time to read it and absorb it, because there's so much information here. I'm sure you probably heard of the document called SOARS that's put out by IAEI. Well, Phil Simmons originally authored that document. So this book is different. This program is different because where that one kind of throws you all over the place, this one systematically works you through Article 250. From the very beginning, it's going to walk you through all of the basic principles, the definitions that are very much germane to 250, and then walk you all the way through. That's what's unique about this one. So many people struggle with grounding and bonding, and this course is going to clear all of that up for you. Of course, I'm here all along the way to give you my expertise. I do serve on this code panel, so I'll do my best to guide you where necessary. And of course, she has a lot of additional reading material with a lot of good history, a lot of good factual information that you can share at the water cooler. Again, because grounding and bonding, doing it properly, saves lives. Okay, it's the electrical safety system. It's not the same as circuit conductors, the ungrounded hots, or the grounded neutral. This is part of the electrical safety system. In other words, it is what's going to help clear overcurrent protected devices. It's what's going to bond all metal parts together. It's what's going to keep things at the same potential to reduce the likelihood of shock and things like that. Now, we can't remove all the hazards that are there, but if you do grounding and bonding properly and you understand the concepts of it, then you go a long way of making it as safe as you can. And of course, following all the other rules that are minimum standards within the National Electrical Code. Remembering that you could go above the minimum if you choose, but we have to remember that a minimum standard is a minimum standard, so we have to at least be at that level. So that's some of the NEC is a wonderful document. It gets better every cycle, believe it or not. People say, why do you keep adding stuff to it? It literally gets better every document. Every time it's published, there's little things that we find and tweak, and you, the general public who submit public inputs and public comments, you really do make it better. I really do. So anyway, we go through this concept so you understand what the shock is and what the potential for shock is and what can happen and how it's different for men and women and a different resistances of the body. We go through all of that in the program. We talk about series and parallel circuits. Really important when you're dealing with grounding and bonding, as it would with any other circuit, is understanding the differences between series and parallels and how they function. Okay, all of that's covered in here. You hear the old saying that people say that electricity takes the path of least resistance, and that's not true in a full sense. It takes all available paths proportional to the resistance or impedance of that path. So if there's a low impedance path this way, then majority of the current will travel on that low impedance path, but not all of it. It will travel on all available paths. So you will learn all those concepts in this program, and you'll learn the difference between resistance and impedance, and why AC systems have impedance where DC systems have resistance, and all those type of things will be covered in the program. So I just wanted to kind of give you an overview. This being a parallel circuit, and of course, this being a series circuit, typically what we do from a source through a switch up to a luminaire and back, that's a series circuit. But you can see we also have plenty of applications where we would have parallel circuits as well. So anyway, really good information. So I just wanted to show you that. So that's your intro. And then you're going to do what's called assessments. And now your assessments are doing what? The assessments are testing what you just read. They're testing the knowledge that you just acquired in the program. So if you go look at the assessment, and I'll kind of click on it to kind of give you an idea what the assessment looks like. Once you start your assessment, you're going to see that you've got 21 questions here. And you're going to work your way, and you can check your work all along the way. Okay. So in this case, which of the following statements about the term electrical system is not true? A system, okay, it wants the one that is not true. A term is defined, the term is defined in the NEC, so it's usually, so its usage will be uniformed. The electrical utility supplies the system at the service to the building. The energy supplied by a solar photovoltaic source is a system. The energy supplied by a generator is a system. Okay, so let's just say here, let's say I clicked A, and you want to check your work. Okay, so you can submit for grading, but I encourage you to check your work. So if you check your work, you'll see that that is correct. Okay, because electrical system, the term is not uniformly defined, but you have fuel cells, PV systems, generator systems, all of those type of systems are covered within the National Electrical Code. So anyway, you'll learn all that in the course, and you go through and you can check yourself along the way, or you can go and not check yourself and you can submit for grading. Most students will check their work because they want to see where they're at. Now, let's say you did this and you got it wrong. You can highlight over it and go up. And if you right click, it holds it on the screen, and then you can go up and click definition. And over in the book, it will actually bring up the definition. And you can read through it. And anytime you do this, you really need to read through it, because this is basically just bringing up some definitions, and it's not going to maybe bring you directly to the place that answers this question, but it's going to bring you to some important information that you should read. Okay. And it talks about all these types of things. Okay. It's the electrical system, and it makes references. What is an electrical system? And again, the term electrical system is not defined in the NEC. And that is the basis of this question. So what you can see here is that you're going to see that the material is going to supplement the answer. It's going to be in there, especially for the grounding and bonding, because we're pulling it out of that material. But at the end of the day, I recommend you do each question independently. That way you can see what your answers are. That's what I recommend. That is the best course of action that I've told for students forever, is to do it that way. Okay. But anyway, you'll go through the assessments. Now, what's interesting about this program is that when you jump into the general, and of course you got your intro video, that just kind of gives you some excitement about what's to come in this unit. So you kind of see what you're going to cover in the unit. So I encourage you to watch the videos. And then you go into the reading material. And you see here, it starts where? Right at 250.4a, starts understanding the difference in 250.4a and b, and breaks it down. Right? Now, here's the neat thing about this course, though. Here's one of the neat things, is we will regurgitate the requirement as it is in the code, right? But then, unlike a lot of other programs, we'll go into a discussion period. And in the discussion period, it is an attempt to try to explain the concepts. Okay? That's what it's trying to do. And so you get what's called discussions, and of course you read it, and it'll reference code areas in the code like 250.20, 250.21, and 250.22. This has to do with systems that are required to be grounded, systems that are permitted to be grounded, not required, but permitted. And of course, then it gets into systems that are not permitted to be grounded. So that's where you get in section 20, 21, and 22. Very interesting because we dig into that because many people have no clue what systems are required to be grounded and why some of them are permitted to be grounded, maybe like a corner grounded delta, but are not required because we could have an open delta. So why we do what we do, depending on the types of systems, we're going to cover that in here. And that's where you're going to get all this information. And we go through it and you see it gets very detailed. It's a lot of reading material, but then it supplements it with some illustrations. So illustrations right here. Okay. So grounded conductor right here. And again, these are all talking about A1. So this one you see right here is a typical system that would come for utility to say to a dwelling. Okay, where one of the phases between A and C is split midway. So from C to the grounded neutral point, it's going to be 120. From A to the grounded neutral point, it's going to be 120. But from the grounded neutral point to the B phase is going to be 208. So this is a high leg system. And then over here, you see this is a Y configured system. So you got the neutral point right here. And then, of course, from any grounded conductor to any phase, you got 120 volts. So again, we go into this. These are all printable. Go ahead and print them as you wish. And we even go into even more detail and we show you how to do the voltages and how they work and what the difference between three phase and how you round up and how we get 208 volts and all that kind of stuff. All the stuff that you wanted to know, but maybe nobody was willing to share it with you. We're going to cover it in here. And of course, as I always say, you're going to have me as well as your guide. If you have any questions, then I am right here to help you along the journey. Most certainly. All right. So there we go. We got that. And then of course you go into system grounding. And of course we did a little bit of this the other night. So I'll just kind of go back to the beginning. So you'll have an objective. So you know what you're going to cover in this unit. And then you're going to systematically go through it. So we're going to teach you what 250.20 is. And we're going to talk about AC, alternating current systems that are required to be grounded. And we're going to go through that. We'll have a discussion. We'll give you some information. We'll talk discussion on that. We'll give you some examples of what would be, because people like to put the actual example to it. They go like, okay, I know what the code says. I know what you're telling me. But it doesn't necessarily help me, Paul. So what we do is we give you information and give you examples that will help hammer things home. And that's the key to learning. There's a lot of reading content, but we're going to supplement it with illustrations. Okay, so systems permitted, but are not required to be grounded. This is an example here of a three-phase, three-wire, corner grounded delta. Okay, and so this right here, it's not required to be grounded, but it's permitted to have this type of system. And we go into that and give you some more verbiage, and even give you additional figures. And then we talk about AC systems less than 50 volts, and we give you the requirement. Then we give you, people say, okay, I get it. I see the requirements, but it's still not hammering home with me. What is it? So here's what we do. We give you graphics, and the graphics will hammer it home, right? So whether this case right here, this is a system right here, again, less than 50 volts are required to be grounded under the following condition. So where the primary voltage exceeds 150 volts, so that's why it says greater than 150. And even though the secondary might be less than 50 volts, this still is going to be required in the secondary to be a grounded system. So we cover all those things. And obviously here, where the primary of the transformer is ungrounded, okay? But if you look at this one right here, where the supplied by a transformer, if the transformer system is ungrounded, then the secondary is going to be grounded. And of course, we're installed as an overhead conductors outside of the building. If it's what? If it's less than 50 volts, you could have some broadband communication coming down. Again, whether or not the system is required to be grounded or not. We're going to go over it. Okay. And of course, you get some other examples here in We just kind of go through it systematically through the whole thing. And of course, alternating current systems that are 50 volts through 1000, probably what we deal with the most. And you're going to see that, a good discussion on that. And again, this is typically what we would see for coming down to a residence, right? A 240 volt transformer is center tap, and you're going to get a 120 240 single phase 3-wire system, and that's what's going to run to the side of the house. So that system right there, right here, if you look at the title here, alternating current systems of 50 volts to 1000 volts that supply premise wiring, and premise wiring systems are required to be grounded under any of the following conditions. And a great example of that would be your typical transformer that's coming down to your house. That's an example of why we have a grounded system, why we're required by the code to bring a grounded conductor to the actual panel. And again, beyond that, if we don't need a grounded conductor, we don't have to run one, but we do have to bring one to the service on this system, because this is, again, one of those that we're required to be grounded. All right, so we cover all of that. We even give you some examples of the systems that would fall under, as you can see here. And so it kind of, our program is designed to clear the mud and make it a little easier for you to understand. Of course, you can print any of this if you want. All you gotta do is click the print button right here. You can print everything. If you want an individual graphic to print, you just take the graph, right click on it. You can print it, save the image, and print the image, whatever you want. All right, impedance grounded neutral systems. Again, do you even know what those are? Do you understand that that's the grounding electrical conductor, and it has some type of impedance device that is placed from the XO point to the grounding electrode, that there's something that's put in that system? Do you understand the rules? Okay, because this isn't the same as a solidly connected or solidly grounded system. This is an impedance device inserted system. You'll learn all that in the program. Okay. And you'll see some examples, okay? Grounded through distributed capacitance, okay? You've got a lot of additional information for you in this program. Okay, so anyway, that's what you've got. Now, once you get past the grounding aspect of it, you'll get into the bonding aspect of it. And of course, we have a lot of these, and it just works its way all the way through 250. But we have what's called an appendice. Now, this is interesting because in this right here, this is where you get a lot of good extra material. For example, have you ever wondered how we came up with the concept of a concrete encased electrode and those types? So investigation and testing of footing type grounding electrodes for electrical installation. You've heard of Herb Ufer, but many people think it all ended and started with him, and it's not so true. While he did a lot of tests in the military bases out in areas where, again, the soil was very dry, but this also was put to test by a lot of inspection authorities in different states, testing this out to come up with the final outcome. So there was a lot of people involved in that. That appendix is a great read because you get to learn the history of it and why it would be a certain size conductor, like a 4-gauge copper to the rebar and things like that that's in the footer. Okay, so you learn all those histories involved in it, and that's part of it. And of course, you get understanding ground resistance testing, 3-point fall of potential, how that works, and all that kind of stuff. You also get to see a report on research of conduit fittings, ground fault current withstand capabilities. The Gemini report, and it talks about why it's so important to have conduit in the fittings and why you have to make sure those lock nuts are nice and tight and what happens and all that kind of stuff. So just so much information here. And of course, you get flashcards as well to test your knowledge. If you're not familiar with flashcards, I'll let you see what they look like. So again, these flashcards are general, not just grounding and bonding, accessible, capable of being reached for operation renewal and inspection. So you get all the flashcards in there as well, so you can just test your knowledge. Again, doesn't hurt to get better at understanding terminologies and things like that in the code. And then, of course, something else that we're throwing in, whether or not you're preparing for an exam or not, is we're throwing in the mega exam prep, and that is all of these practice questions. Okay, so they're all going to be thrown in here for you to test your skills, hone your skills. So maybe you're preparing for an exam, but you don't want our fast tracks program. So maybe you just want to learn more about grounding and bonding, but you like the thought of getting all the exam questions and things like that as well. Well, we're throwing that in. You're going to get it. It's in the course, and you also get 3 final exams as well. They're all going to be in the program. So again, it's all an extra bonus to hone those skills. But I know that you're coming to this program because you want to learn grounding and bonding. I get it. So that's what this program is really all about. You even get down into where we're talking about ground fault circuit interrupter protection for personnel in category 2, general care, and category 1, critical care in 517. So we're not just going to stay in 250, folks. No, we're going to go in and talk about 517 as well and all those things. So we go into it. You'll see some illustrations of different types of anema configurations of different attachment plugs. We go into all of those things. Mechanical protection of essential electrical systems in 517.31C3. And it gets into all of those things in a little more in depth. Of course, why? Because bonding is very critical in that aspect of it. Now, if we're dealing in a situation where I have a patient care space, then you need to be familiar with 517.13A and B. So we're going to cover that. We're going to talk about whether or not the armor can be utilized as an equipment grounding conductor. And the answer to that typical MC would be no. But you can get a healthcare facility type MC, whereas the outside armor is a redundancy, that type of thing. So we'll cover all those type of things in here, and you'll get to see some examples of layouts. Okay, so life safety, critical, and equipment branch. All of this is part of the essential electrical system. And it's kind of neat because you hear us talk about these things in the code, but unless you visualize it, you might not get it. And so here's an example of a patient care space. Here's an example where the normal receptacles are being served, but here's where we have critical branch being served. All right, and you see that this normal branch, okay, is supplying the general receptacles in there, but then you've got a certain requirement at the actual patient space. And in that scenario, we're showing you how that circuit layout would be. And so there's just a lot of good additional information in here, okay? We'll also talk about prefabricated medical head walls, which you could allow MC and things like that in there. So as you can see, we'll go into agricultural buildings. We'll go into separate equipment grounding conductors in agricultural. So in case you ever wondered all about those, we get into it. Service disconnecting means and overcurrent protection at the distribution point, again in agricultural. Equipotential bonding planes and bonding of equipotential planes. So again, milk production, livestock, those type of thing. So all this kind of stuff involved in it. Now remember, livestock does not include poultry, but it might fall under agricultural. So you have to look at the different definitions and how it's being expressed. Here we go over mobile. So there's a lot in here. Just don't think that it stops at 250. Okay. We're talking about 550 for mobile homes, manufactured homes, and we're focusing on the grounding and bonding aspects of that. So here, service equipment, it's going to get into the rules for that. And again, going to give you a good discussion, illustrations. And this is one of the most important things of a good program is the ability to show you various illustrations. Okay. So here's the panel that's inside. And you'll notice that inside of here, it is isolated. A lot of questions people ask about that because the service disconnect is out here on the pole. Okay. It's not more than 30 feet away. And it's shown right there and kind of gives you an idea what it looks like in here. Obviously, we know it's separated. But again, we go into some of the details. You notice that the grounding electrode conductor is all taking place out here at the meter in the main service disconnect. This is a remote distribution panel inside, but you'll also know that it is 4 conductors. All those type of things. And here's another example, okay, where we have an application here. So good graphics, great illustrations, common arrangements for the setup for manufactured homes, just so much in this program. And you can print any of it. Just, again, anything you want to print, go ahead and print. You have exclusive rights to be able to do that. Feeders in 550, we get into feeder applications. So the answer to somebody's question about grounding and bonding is putting in the time, putting in the effort, going through each one of these units, doing the end of unit, grading yourself, and really coming away with a better, more rounded understanding of grounding and bonding. Okay? So that is the basis of this grounding and bonding course. And it is unique. It's one of our more popular courses that we have at our program. One, because it is pretty much self-paced. You do it at your own pace. You finish it as quick as you want. But when it comes to grounding and bonding, I tell people I wouldn't rush it. I certainly wouldn't rush grounding and bonding, because there's going to be situations in here when you get to service bonding and 250, 92 and things like that. You're going to say, okay, I've got questions and I need to read this again, and this doesn't make sense, so I need to ask Paul. Well, that's what I'm here for. Okay, that's exactly what I'm here for, to help. Okay, so that's kind of an overview of the grounding and bonding course. It is very extensive, but it's kind of gives you that overview of what's going on. So if anybody's got any questions, I'm more than happy to take questions on YouTube and Facebook. If you have any questions you got to ask. It seems like in the room we've got O and Mike and Elwood and Oscar and Orlando and Yan and Nikki, who says the fast track program is great. Well, thank you. I think I'm biased, but I think it's the best exam preparation. But we, believe it or not, we sell an awful lot of the programs for electricians that are already licensed. That's not dealing with the exam prep, believe it or not. In fact, today we just sold 4 courses of commercial wiring, which we'll do a stream on commercial wiring. Eventually, I'll show you what's in that. But we did a program on that, and their company bought multiple licenses for all of their employees. Because if you're all studying, we monitor the grades, we report the grades if you request it, if you're the administrator, and we tell you how each student's doing. But the one thing is, they all will learn the same content. So they all will learn the same thing, so they won't all be on different pages. So that's one of the things about our programs, and the ability to be able to monitor it and grade it and give you reports, is that everybody's on this. It makes sure that everybody learns the same content. And it doesn't affect your ability to learn in the field. What it's doing is it's just enhancing it and making sure that everybody's on the same page type of concept. So that's what we're doing with our packages that we do for companies. So I have companies that'll contact me and they'll say, look, I want to get a block of 10 keys, or I want to get a block of 5 keys. So I got 5 guys who I want to start our residential program, or I want to put them in the commercial program, or I want to put them in the grounding and bonding, or even the electricity 101. That's been an extremely popular course as well lately. And I have been asked by quite a few people to do a stream explaining the electricity 101 course. Now, if you're in the bundle pack, then lucky you, because you got one heck of a deal, because the bundle pack gives you access to everything. Okay. If you're in the 2020 bundle, you get everything. If you're in the 2017 bundle, you get everything. Although we do make a bundle that gives you both 2017 and 2020. So that's like 10 courses that you get access to. That's and for 2 years. Okay. Most of these courses are only available for 1 year. We do have the ability to do an extension if you want an extension, but typically they're 12 months, and that's more than enough time. When somebody does a bundle pack, here's what I usually recommend. I usually recommend you spend 3 months in residential, 3 months in commercial, 3 months in grounding and bonding, and 3 months in the Fast Tracks program to really hone those skills. By that time, you're going to be such a well-rounded electrician. Now, of course, we can't teach you the hands-on. You can watch a bunch of videos on how to do single poles, 3-ways, switch legs, and all that kind of stuff. That's all great. You can watch people do service calls, and that makes you feel good. That's great. But you're going to learn it out in the field. You're going to learn it out there getting your hands dirty. All we're going to do is work on the mental part, because the best electricians out there are the ones that not only have the physical skills and they're really good at it, but they also have the mental piece and understanding it. Now, that's the thing that people struggle with when it comes to the Electricity 101 course. There's a lot of theory in there. There's a lot of things on resistance and resistors and all that. And you're really not going to use a lot of that part in the field as an electrician. But what it's doing, it's answering those questions that you always wanted to know. How many of you out there who at some point in your career, somebody asked you a question and you just didn't feel adequate because you just didn't know the answer? Then you started questioning yourself. Am I doing the best that I can? Here's the thing about life is you should never stop learning. You should perpetually continue to learn, read everything you can, read any article you can, stop being lazy. Now, if you want to be a journeyman electrician your whole life, or maybe you've reached the pinnacle of where you want to be, okay. But I have been doing this for over 32 years. I have not reached that point in my career. I am constantly wanting to learn new and stuff all the time. And I would hope most people would be the same way. They want to constantly learn things, right? So that's where we came in. We don't give continuing education for our courses. Our courses don't count towards credit for licensure. They are knowledge-based programs. They are designed to enhance and take an electrician and take them to the next level. That's what we're all about. Could I submit this stuff and take our university and get fully accredited and do all that? Absolutely. But that has never been my desire. That's not what I wanted to do with it. I don't want to, because I don't have the ability to do the hands-on with you, because I can't take you and show you how to wire a transformer. I can't take you and show you how to wire a circuit. You're going to learn that by your employer. Now, your employer can put you through a program, and then you get to understand residential or commercial or even industrial. I didn't even mention that. We have an industrial course as well, which deals more in motor aspects and in variable frequency drive stuff. And it goes even deeper when it comes to motors. Even some of the stuff when I'm reading it and I'm grading stuff, I have to struggle and really read it again because it gets really intense, right? So we have industrial, commercial, residential, grounding and bonding. We have Electricity 101. And of course, we have the Fast Tracks program for learning the NEC. So if anybody's got any questions over in our stream, I'm more than happy to answer them. I have not been monitoring the Twitter. So if anybody is out there on Twitter, we're at Master the NEC on Twitter. So I assume it's still streaming on that. But I haven't really looked. So I'm just hitting some stuff here to test to see what it looks like. But it looks like we've come to the end of my stream. So if nobody has any questions, I'm right here near the end. It's going to be about an hour. But thank y'all for watching. And if you have any questions on the grounding and bonding course, by all means, please feel free to let me know. And I am more than happy to answer those questions for you. Again, you can reach me all the time by just going to our website, electricalcodeacademy.net, and you'll see a contact button on the right. And you can email us that way, or you can just send an email to me at paul.abernathy@electricalcodeacademy.com, and I'm more than happy to answer any question you might have. And if you're in our programs, please, by all means, utilize me. If you have a question or you need help with something, utilize me. Now, One last thing before I go is you are going to see more and more random streams. So hopefully you won't get annoyed by them if they show up in your stream. We appreciate you subscribing to our YouTube page, our LinkedIn page, our Facebook page, we got all kinds of stuff now that we're streaming on. Hopefully at some point we'll be able to stream over to the Sparky Hub. So that's kind of something that that's going to be a little work in progress. But we're excited. So you're going to see us on Wednesday nights for our exam prep stream. And now we're going to be streaming everywhere. So that's pretty good. But if you want to participate in that, then you got to be a fast track student or you got to be a monthly subscriber. And as I said before, if you are interested in our grounding and bonding 12-hour course that we're going to have, then the easiest way to get in on that is to become a monthly subscriber. Or an annual subscriber, whatever your choice is. It doesn't really matter. You could cancel at any time when it comes to the monthly. Once you do the annual, you can't cancel because you get access to it for a year. But most people will do the monthly, and you can cancel it at a time. But I like to think that the content that we're putting out there is well worth $119 a year. I can't even imagine you buying a textbook, a really good textbook, would cost you that much, and we're giving that to you, and you get access to the residential program that we've got working on with Jay. You get the pool and spa program we've got. There's a NEC analysis of the 2020 NEC, which we're getting back on. I keep saying that, but I got to get back on that. That's going to be, there's already a bunch of them there, but you get a bunch more. What else is over there? A lot of our exam prep nights have been uploaded up there. So if you need to kind of look at those again. So it just makes it easy. It's all in one location type of thing. So, all right. Well, I think that's it for tonight. It really was a way for me to do the presentation on grounding and bonding, kind of let you see what's in the program, but also to test the stream. And I hope everything went good. The audio was good. Everybody heard me okay. And everything seemed to stream okay. So we're going to be expanding this thing, and I haven't even told Jay yet that we're going to be expanding it to way more platforms than what we had. So, and there's still a couple more that we might be adding because everybody's got their own flavor of how they like to look at something, right? So some people like the looking on LinkedIn. Some people would like looking over on Twitter. Some people like the Facebook. Some people like the YouTube. I'm personally like the YouTube. But there's so many different options out there. So we're just expanding to that and trying to offer as much as I can. And I will be doing more and more live streams, okay, because I like doing live. So that's it, folks. Till next time, I appreciate you all. And we will catch you at a later date. Till next time, stay safe. God bless.